The black woman was humiliated at a family mall. What happened next day shocked the clerk. Rain danced against the glass doors of Willow Creek Mall, glistening like tears against the afternoon sun. Inside, the air smelled of coffee, perfume, and quiet judgment. Zara Langston, graceful, composed, radiant in her simplicity, pushed a stroller through the marble floors, unaware that the world would soon turn its eyes on her. When the clerk at Maison d'Elegance, a luxury boutique, sneered at her dark skin and second-hand sneakers, humiliation struck like a slap across the face. Zara didn't shout. She simply smiled, her silence sharper than any blade. What the clerk didn't know, what no one in the mall knew, was that Zara's husband, Alexander Langston, owned every brick, every light, every inch of that glittering palace. Tomorrow, the woman who laughed at her would wake up to find her own reflection staring back in horror. Because power, when wrapped in grace, never forgets. If you're enjoying this story, click subscribe, like this video, and comment what time it is that you're watching this video. Now let's get back to the story. The midday crowd in Willow Creek Mall moved like a slow river. Families drifting from store to store, children tugging at sleeves, the echo of chatter and pop music swirling under the bright atrium skylight. Zara Langston guided her toddler's stroller toward the boutique she had passed a dozen times but never entered. Maison d'Elegance. It was a temple of luxury. Crystal chandeliers, gold-trimmed mirrors, and soft white walls lined with silk dresses. She didn't come for extravagance. She came for a birthday gift for her sister, who'd always admired the store's scarves. Just a quick look, she whispered to herself, adjusting the silk scarf on her own curls, a modest touch of grace she loved. As she stepped in, the air changed. The hum of chatter dimmed. Two clerks stood behind the counter. One older woman in pearls, and another, Chloe, a platinum blonde in her late 20s, her smile tightening like a noose. "Can I help you?" Chloe asked, the words coated in disdain. "Yes, please," Zara said, her tone soft but assured. "I'm looking for a cashmere scarf. Something light pastel." Chloe cut her off with a sigh. "Those are very expensive." Zara blinked. "I didn't ask the price yet." The clerk smirked. "Well, you know, people get surprised here. Maybe try Willow Styles next door. They have discounts and, affordable things." The word affordable stung like an insult. Around them, other customers watched, pretending not to. Zara felt the heat rise in her chest, but her voice stayed even. "I'd still like to see your collection," she said. Chloe's smile thinned. She turned to the other clerk, whispering loudly enough for Zara to hear. "Security's been warning us lately about, well, people coming in just to look." The other woman gave a nervous chuckle. Zara's heart squeezed. She had heard it all before. The coded language, the polite racism wrapped in professional smiles. She reached for a pink cashmere scarf, fingers grazing the softness. "I said those are expensive," Chloe snapped, stepping closer. "I don't want fingerprints on the merchandise." Something inside Zara fractured. Her daughter stirred in the stroller, tiny eyes blinking up at her mother's face. The clerk's voice carried, loud enough for a small crowd to notice. "Ma'am, if you're not buying, please don't waste our time." Zara felt the entire room's gaze pressing down like judgment. For a moment, her throat tightened, rage, sadness, shame all swirling, but then she breathed. Deep, slow. She folded the scarf back neatly on the rack and met Chloe's eyes. "You have a lovely store," she said softly. "I'll make sure my husband hears about it." Chloe scoffed. "I'm sure he'll be thrilled to know you stopped by." Zara smiled faintly. "He will. He owns it." The words landed like a whisper in a storm. Chloe blinked, confused. "Excuse me." But Zara didn't repeat herself. She turned the stroller around and walked out, her heels clicking against the marble, echoing through the silence she left behind. Outside the store, she paused by the fountain. Her chest burned. She wanted to cry, but she wouldn't give the mall that satisfaction. Instead, she wiped her cheek, lifted her chin, and walked away. Behind her, laughter bubbled from the boutique. "Did you hear that?" Chloe giggled. "She said her husband owns the mall." "Oh my God." The older clerk chuckled too, nervous but unwilling to confront her colleague. "You shouldn't." "Oh please," Chloe said, rolling her eyes. "People like her love to play the victim. Probably married some bus driver and thinks she's royalty." That night, rain fell hard against the Langston estate's massive windows. The mansion stood on the edge of the city, its lights shimmering across the hills like stars caught on earth. Zara sat by the fireplace, staring into the flames. Alexander entered quietly, tall, elegant, wearing a white dress shirt and the calm authority of a man who never had to raise his voice to command respect. He wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "You've been quiet since the mall. What happened?" Zara hesitated, then told him everything. The sneer, the tone, the humiliation. He listened without interruption, his jaw tightening with every word. When she finished, she whispered, "I didn't want to make a scene. I just wanted to leave." He looked at her for a long moment. "You did the right thing," he said. Then his eyes darkened, a storm gathering behind them. "But tomorrow I will make a scene." Zara shook her head. "Alex, don't." He kissed her hand gently. "My love, when someone humiliates you in my house, they humiliate me. And no one walks into my home and leaves uncorrected." Outside, thunder rolled over the hills. Tomorrow would not be like today. The next morning dawned in gold. Sunlight poured through the windows of the Langston estate, painting everything in warmth. The marble floors, the towering art pieces, the quiet luxury that spoke of old money and refined taste. Zara dressed in a soft cream blouse and tailored navy trousers. Her natural curls framed her face, glistening under the morning light. Her daughter, Nyla, played on the carpet while Alexander stood at the window, phone in hand, his voice steady but cold. "Yes," he said to his assistant. "Clear my morning schedule. And have the mall's management team at Willow Creek by 10. I want every department head present, especially Maison d'Elegance." He ended the call, his tone still simmering with the controlled fury of a man unaccustomed to watching the woman he loved be disrespected. Zara looked up from buttoning her cuffs. "You're really doing this?" Alexander turned, his expression softening. "When I built that mall, I wanted it to be a space for everyone. Families, workers, dreamers. But when the people inside forget that vision, it's time for a reminder." Zara hesitated. "I don't want her fired just to satisfy my pride." He crossed to her, gently lifting her chin. "This isn't about pride, my love. It's about dignity. Yours. Ours." By 10 o'clock, the glass doors of Willow Creek Mall opened to a different kind of spectacle. Security guards stood straighter, managers whispered urgently, and store owners peeked out from behind their counters. Alexander Langston didn't arrive like a billionaire. He arrived like quiet thunder. A black Rolls-Royce ghosted to a stop at the entrance, and when the doors opened, Zara stepped out first. Heads turned instantly. She was radiant, poised, elegant, the very image of calm power. The same woman who'd been dismissed as unworthy just 24 hours ago. Behind her, Alexander emerged, his presence commanding immediate respect. The mall's general manager, a nervous man in a gray suit, rushed forward, wiping his palms. "Mr. Langston. We, weren't expecting." Alexander's gaze silenced him. "You should always expect me." He offered his arm to Zara. "Shall we?" As they walked, a hush followed. Every store manager watched, Every shopper turned, sensing the tension threading through the air. When they reached Maison d'Elegance, Chloe was behind the counter, arranging handbags with the same smirk she'd worn yesterday. She didn't notice them at first, until she looked up and froze. Zara met her gaze. Calm, unflinching. "Oh," Chloe stammered, her voice faltering. "You're back." Zara smiled. "Yes, I am." Chloe's eyes darted to Alexander, confusion flashing in her expression. The older clerk beside her bowed her head immediately. "Mr. Langston," she said softly. "Good morning." Chloe blinked. "Wait, Mr. Langston?" She turned pale. "As in, Langston Mall Langston?" Alexander's voice was low and steady. "You're the clerk who spoke to my wife yesterday?" The room fell silent. Even the shoppers outside stopped pretending to browse. Chloe's lips trembled. I didn't realize. I didn't know she was." "You didn't need to know," Alexander interrupted. "You only needed to treat her with respect, something you apparently reserve for certain skin tones." Her throat bobbed. "Sir, I swear I didn't mean." He stepped closer, not shouting, but his words cut through the air. "You humiliated her. You belittled a woman in front of strangers because of the color of her skin. Tell me, Ms. Chloe, how does that align with my company's values?" Tears welled in her eyes. "Please, I was just." Zara placed a gentle hand on her husband's arm. Her voice was soft but powerful. "Let me." Alexander nodded and stepped back. Zara looked at Chloe, not with anger, but with the quiet strength that made every onlooker lean closer. "Yesterday," Zara began, "you taught me something. You reminded me that no amount of money or marriage can shield a woman of color from prejudice. And that's painful but necessary to remember." Chloe sniffed, tears spilling now. "I'm so sorry, Mrs. Langston." Zara raised a hand, silencing her. "Apologies don't erase humiliation. But I'm not here to destroy you." A murmur spread through the store. Chloe blinked, confused. "You're not." "No," Zara said. "Because that would make me like you yesterday, using power to make someone small. I don't want that." She turned to the general manager. "But I do expect her to understand the cost of her behavior. Retraining, community work, diversity workshops, and I'll personally oversee it." Alexander added calmly, "Effective immediately. And Maison d'Elegance will fund a new outreach program, one my wife will lead." The manager nodded quickly, relief flooding his face. Chloe covered her mouth, sobbing quietly now. Thank you for not." Zara met her eyes one last time. Change doesn't start with punishment. It starts with reflection. I hope you learn from this." And with that, Zara turned to her husband, who took her hand, pride glimmering in his eyes. Together they walked out. The crowd parted like the sea for them. Phones clicked silently, capturing not scandal but reverence. Outside the store, Alexander stopped by the grand fountain where Zara had cried the day before. "Do you feel better?" he asked gently. Zara exhaled. "Not better. Just free." He smiled faintly. "The press will love this story. The billionaire's wife showing grace." "I didn't do it for them," she replied. "I did it for the little girls who'll walk into that mall one day and see a woman who looks like them, unafraid." He took her hand and kissed her knuckles. "And that's why I love you." The fountain splashed softly behind them, its silver spray catching the sunlight like diamonds in the air. Inside, Chloe collapsed onto a stool, trembling as the manager handed her a folder labeled Mandatory Cultural Awareness Program. She flipped it open, and at the bottom, her heart stuttered. Instructor, Zara Langston. 2 weeks later, The conference hall at Willow Creek Mall had been transformed. The chandeliers glowed softly, rows of chairs faced a minimalist stage, and a banner read in bold gold lettering, "Building Bridges. Diversity and Humanity in the Workplace." Led by Zara Langston. Employees from every store filled the room. Clerks, managers, cashiers, even janitors. There was nervous chatter, the kind that comes before uncomfortable truths. In the front row, Chloe sat stiffly, hands clasped together, her name badge trembling slightly on her chest. The woman who once sneered at others now felt the sharp edge of scrutiny. She hadn't slept well since that morning when she discovered Zara's full name on the program folder. She kept replaying the scene, the way Zara had stood there dignified, while she herself crumbled in shame. She hated herself for it. Not just for being caught, but for realizing that deep down, she had believed Zara didn't belong in that store. And that realization haunted her. The chatter silenced as Zara entered. She wore a white blazer and pearl earrings, elegance personified. But more striking than her attire was her calm presence. The room seemed to center itself around her. "Good morning, everyone," Zara began, her voice smooth, warm but clear. "Thank you for being here today. I know some of you were encouraged to attend." A ripple of awkward laughter passed through the room. Even Chloe managed a weak smile. Zara continued, "Let's start with a story. Not mine, not yours, just a story." She clicked a small remote. A photo appeared on the large screen behind her. A little black girl standing in front of a department store window, eyes wide with wonder. "When I was 9, Zara said, I used to stand outside stores like this one, dreaming of what it would feel like to be welcomed inside. Not to buy anything fancy, just to belong." The room fell silent. "I grew up to marry a man who built one of the biggest malls in this country. But even now, I still walk into rooms where people assume I don't belong." Zara looked directly at Chloe, not with malice, but with knowing. "That tells me something important. Wealth doesn't erase bias. Only awareness can." She paused. "So today isn't about punishment. It's about seeing what's invisible to some, but painfully visible to others." She invited everyone into a group activity. Small circles of employees, each discussing times they had been judged or misjudged. The exercise was designed to pierce denial. At first, there was hesitation. Then a woman from a jewelry store spoke. "I once got passed over for promotion because they said customers liked the lighter girls better." A young man from maintenance added quietly, "People assume I don't speak English because I have an accent." Zara nodded with empathy each time, but she didn't fill the silence. She let it breathe. Then, unexpectedly, Chloe spoke. Her voice cracked. I want to say something." All eyes turned. She swallowed hard. "When Mrs. Langston, Zara, came into my store that day, I saw her scarf, her skin, her stroller, and I made assumptions. I thought she couldn't afford anything there. I thought she didn't belong. I humiliated her. And she still treated me with kindness." Her throat trembled as she continued. "That day ruined me, and it should have, because I realized that the ugliness wasn't in what I said. It was in what I believed." The room was silent. Some employees looked moved, others uncomfortable, but all were listening. Zara stepped closer, her tone soft but firm. "Thank you for saying that, Chloe. Accountability is painful, but it's also powerful." Chloe wiped a tear. "I'm so sorry." Zara nodded. "Don't be sorry. Be different." There was something in the air then, a quiet breaking open. People weren't just hearing her. They were feeling her. After the session, employees lingered, shaking Zara's hand, thanking her for sharing her story. When the room cleared, only Chloe remained. She approached cautiously. Mrs. Langston, she began, I wanted to thank you for giving me another chance. You didn't have to. Zara studied her for a moment. You're welcome, Chloe. But I didn't do it for you. I know, Chloe said softly. You did it because that's who you are. And I envy that. Zara's expression softened. Envy isn't necessary. Change is. She hesitated, then added, You remind me of someone I once knew, my old boss at a design firm. She didn't hate people of color. She just didn't see them. And that's the worst kind of blindness. Chloe looked down. I want to see. I really do. Then start by unlearning what you think you know, Zara said. Visit neighborhoods outside your comfort zone. Listen to people without interrupting. And stop confusing pity with understanding. Chloe nodded, blinking back tears. Thank you. I'll try. Zara smiled faintly. Trying is how it begins. Living differently is how it lasts. They stood there for a moment, two women from opposite worlds, one once humiliated, one now humbled, both aware that something irreversible had shifted. Outside the hall, Alexander waited in the corridor, arms folded. How did it go? Zara smiled softly. Better than I expected. She admitted what she did. He raised an eyebrow. And I think she learned something. Maybe even forgave herself a little. Alexander chuckled under his breath. You're too gentle sometimes. She turned toward him, a spark of humor in her eyes. And that's why you married me. He smiled, slipping his hand into hers. That, and because you terrify me when you're angry. Zara laughed. A genuine free laugh that echoed down the marble corridor. For the first time since that humiliating afternoon, she felt lighter. But life, as she would soon learn, had one more twist waiting. Because sometimes, when you offer grace to the undeserving, fate returns the favor in unexpected ways. That evening, as Zara and Alexander dined at their estate, a delivery van pulled into their long driveway. The guard accepted a small parcel addressed to Zara Langston. Inside was a handwritten note. For the woman who taught me what strength really looks like. Below it lay a pink cashmere scarf, the same one Zara had reached for in the boutique that day. Attached was a receipt stamped, gift purchase, paid by Chloe Meyer. Zara smiled. Not out of triumph, but peace. She folded the scarf neatly and set it on her lap. It's strange, she said softly, looking at Alexander. The thing that once symbolized my humiliation now feels like closure. He reached across the table, brushing her fingers. You turned pain into power, Zara. That's what real elegance looks like. She smiled, tears threatening. Maybe tomorrow I'll wear it to the mall. A week later, the Willow Creek Mall buzzed with unusual excitement. Posters adorned the walls, displaying the words, Mall Anniversary Gala, celebrating 5 years of unity and progress. Shoppers filled the corridors, employees stood straighter than usual, and a local news crew had set up cameras near the fountain. Rumor had it that Alexander Langston himself would make an appearance, along with his wife, the mysterious woman who had, just days earlier, turned scandal into inspiration. Inside Maison d'Elegance, Chloe stood by the counter in a crisp black uniform, her posture precise but her heart pounding. Her stomach churned with nerves. She hadn't seen Zara since that training session. Every day since, she had greeted every customer with genuine warmth. Not because she feared losing her job, but because she wanted to mean it now. She kept replaying Zara's words in her head. Be different. They had haunted her, challenged her, changed her. The store manager approached. You'll handle the VIP greeting when the Langstons arrive, he said nervously. You were the face of the previous incident. Let's make this right. Chloe's breath caught. Are you sure? He nodded. Mrs. Langston specifically asked for you. Her heart thudded. She did. At precisely 11:30 a.m., the automatic doors opened, and silence swept through the mall. Zara entered first, radiant, composed, wrapped in a soft pink cashmere scarf. The same one. Her curls framed her face like a halo, and she carried herself with the grace of a queen who had no need for a crown. Alexander followed in a tailored navy suit, his presence commanding but calm. A wave of whispers rippled through the crowd. Cameras clicked. Zara smiled at the employees who had gathered near the store entrances. Her eyes finally found Chloe. For a fleeting second, the clerk felt her throat close up. But when Zara smiled, genuinely, gently, Chloe exhaled. "Good morning, Mrs. Langston," Chloe said, steadying her voice. "Welcome back to Maison d'Elegance." Zara's eyes softened. "Thank you, Chloe. It looks even more beautiful today." Chloe's lips trembled. "So do you." Alexander smiled faintly at the exchange. "You two seem to know each other well." Zara chuckled lightly. "We've had a few important lessons together." Chloe nodded, a small tear glistening but not falling. "Lessons I'll never forget." A small podium had been set up near the fountain, the same place where Zara once stood humiliated. Now, it was the stage for the mall's anniversary address. Alexander took the microphone first, his voice resonant and measured. 5 years ago, I built Willow Creek Mall to be a place of connection, a bridge between worlds, not a wall between them. But recently, I was reminded that true progress isn't measured in profits or property. It's measured in people. He turned toward Zara. "My wife reminded me that kindness can be stronger than revenge, and that dignity, once tested, only shines brighter." The crowd erupted in soft applause. Zara stepped forward next. The pink scarf glowed under the lights like a symbol of both pain and redemption. "Every building," she began, "is only as good as the hearts that fill it. This mall isn't just about stores or brands, it's about how we see each other. And that begins with respect." She paused, then smiled at Chloe, who stood near the front row, eyes glistening. "I once stood right here, feeling small. But someone's ignorance only has power if you let it define you. Today, I stand in the same place, not as the humiliated woman, but as the forgiven one, because forgiveness frees both sides." The audience murmured, deeply moved. Zara continued, "And so, in the spirit of progress, we're launching a new initiative today. The Willow Project, a program to sponsor education and mentorship for underrepresented women in retail. And I'm proud to say our first ambassador will be someone who learned firsthand what change can look like." She turned toward Chloe. "Ms. Chloe Meyer." Chloe gasped. The crowd erupted in surprise. Her knees nearly buckled as Alexander gestured for her to step forward. "Go on," he said kindly. Heart hammering, Chloe climbed the small steps onto the platform, her eyes wide and wet. "Mrs. Langston, I don't deserve this." Zara took her hand gently. "None of us deserve grace. That's why it's powerful when given freely." Tears spilled down Chloe's cheeks as she whispered, "I'll make you proud." Zara smiled. "You already have." The applause grew, the cameras flashed, and somewhere amid the crowd, a little black girl watching with her mother whispered, "She's so beautiful, Mommy. I want to be like her." And Zara heard it. She turned, saw the girl's wide brown eyes, and smiled back, tears shimmering like light in her lashes. Later that evening, after the gala had ended, the mall grew quiet again. Zara and Alexander walked hand in hand through the empty corridors. She paused before Maison d'Elegance, gazing through the glass at the displays she once feared to touch. "Strange," she murmured. "The same walls that once held my humiliation now hold my peace." Alexander looked at her, pride gleaming in his eyes. That's because you didn't fight fire with fire. You fought it with grace. She touched his cheek. I didn't need revenge. I just needed to be seen. He leaned in, whispering, "And now everyone sees you." They stood there for a long moment, the reflection of their silhouettes framed by the store lights. Zara reached up and untied the pink scarf, folding it carefully. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Leaving it here," she said softly. She opened the store door just enough to hang the scarf on the nearest mannequin's neck. "Let it stay," she added. "A reminder for anyone who forgets that kindness never costs a thing." Weeks later, customers would walk into Maison d'Elegance and see that pink scarf displayed behind glass, beside a small gold plaque that read, "The Scarf of Grace, a Symbol of Change. Donated by Mrs. Zara Langston." And beneath it, in smaller script, "Because dignity, once tested, becomes unbreakable." The story became local legend. Journalists wrote about the incident, praising Zara's composure. But what touched people most wasn't the wealth or status. It was the humility. Chloe, now coordinator of the Willow Project, often retold the story at workshops. Each time, she ended with the same words. "The woman I tried to shame became the woman who saved me from myself." One evening, as the sun set behind the mall's glass dome, Zara stood once more by the fountain. The light glinted on the water, painting her reflection in gold. Alexander slipped his arm around her waist. "You did it," he whispered. "You turned a scar into a legacy." Zara smiled faintly, her eyes following the ripples across the fountain. "No," she said. "We did. All of us. Even her." The fountain splashed gently, like applause from heaven. And in that moment the mall, once a place of judgment, felt at last like home. The end.
Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more intriguing as you can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.